Okay, Mayor, we are live and recording.
Okay, thank you, sir. For those just tuning in, it's myself, Terry Merritt, as well as our city administrator, Mr. Brandon Madden, at kind of hosting this Zoom meeting this morning. I appreciate those of you who have called in and are signing on now uh, for attending. It's so good to finally get back to doing these type things. We started it early in 2020, and of course, we all know what happened, and we had to suspend all the in-person stuff, and a lot of us isolated for a while. So it seems we are slowly coming back. I appreciate y'all tuning in this morning. What I'll do, there's just a couple of people on. If I have some prepared remarks as far as trying to bring us forward as to what has led us up to where we are now talking about our city center, downtown village area, whatever you want to call it right now, and the reasons behind it. So I was going to go through all that, but I will first ask to poll you guys. I see Miss Celeste, you're on in an RB. If that's okay with you guys, or do you have some questions you want to pose first, and then I'll try to cover those in the remarks. So if you have, I'll pause right now. Just unmute your mic, or I may have to do it, but we'll see what happens there. Celeste, you want to go first?
Hey, sorry, I cannot turn on my video this morning, but I did want to just jump on. I saw that this was an opportunity to hear a little bit more about the city center project. My husband and I are getting ready to open it, Foot Solutions franchise, not too far from there, and just really wanted to learn a little bit more about what was going on. As I understand, there will be pickleball courts planned for the city center as well. And Foot Solutions is one of the prime sponsors for pickleball.
Fantastic. That's great. Yeah, I have played a little bit of it or attempted to when our Ray Hopkins Senior Center was hosting pickleball. We had turned our basketball court into 3 pickleball courts, and amazing the number of people who came out and are playing that. It's definitely an interesting game. It was fun. So it'll be good to get that portion of the Drew Parker's group with the Pickle Yard, I think is the initial name used to sign in that. So appreciate it. I'll try to cover that as we build up to why we're doing the city center and where it came from type thing. About RB.
So, Mayor, thank you very much for taking this coffee talk back to normal now. I might have a question maybe later on once you brief us about what's the situation and all that stuff. But, I appreciate all the effort that you guys have made to bring the city center project back to normal.
Thank you, sir. All right. Well, let me try to give you all an idea of where we are and where we came from type thing. Being a lifelong resident of Mauldin, I have seen it go through many, many changes, and being one of the more senior members of our community, it's interesting to watch the change, but give you a little bit of my background. I spent 32 years in information technology, computers, if you will. So we were used to change, whether it was weekly, monthly, or yearly type thing. So change is not new to me. Change in my hometown has been different. A lot of us like to sit around, drink our coffee, and talk. We'd love to see it stay 1,200 people and one red light, but that's not going to happen, and we know that. And so moving forward, it was like everything's projected. The city of Mauldin is growing, so we can either have a plan and grow, or we can not have a plan and grow. So years ago, that was recognized, and so we developed a plan. Let me give you a brief background of the history of Mauldin, and I can take you all the way back to 1868 when Mr. Butler received this land, and it was known as Butler's Corner. and later became Butler's Crossroads. Now remember the name or the word crossroads, because that's critical as we get down into our thought process. Later, the name was changed in honor of Lieutenant Governor William L. Mauldin. And in February 14th, 1910, the town was renamed Mauldin and reincorporated. Now, a brief history, Mauldin has almost died twice in the past. And that's why you heard me use the word reincorporated, because we had to go through that process when the Great Depression hit. Thank goodness the Donaldson Army Air Force Base came about. Of course, it's sad it came about because of World War II. And then the Air Force Base was built out there. But that restarted our economy here locally, and new opportunities. Many women went to work in our textile mills in the local area, as a lot of the fathers and the sons and the brothers had, of course, gone off to war. Industry came to Mauldin. Some of you might know, if you go over the bridge 417 towards Simpsonville on the left, that was the Her Majesty plant built in 1951. My mother-in-law actually retired from there. What really sponsored the growth for the Mauldin area is what a term is used by many of us older guys and gals, is liquid gold came to Mauldin, and Simpsonville and Fountain Inn, and that was the form of a water line that was installed and ran along Lawrence Road. And this was a huge driver for the community, for the economic communities of all three communities, at Mauldin, Simpsonville, and Fountain Inn. Now, my overview, this is mine, of Mauldin's purpose was, remember the word Butler's Crossroads. We're a crossroad community. That's what we were known for, with the 276 intersection with East and West Butler Road. The Crossroads pretty much supported four corner neighborhoods, if you will, that grew up being built around here. The neighborhoods consisted of single resident homes. We all had anywhere from a third to a half-acre lot. We lived here because it was a nice, quiet, close-knit community. You moved here to raise your family. You worshiped here. You bought groceries here. You waved at everybody as you were driving down the road or going in and out of the stores. But then from there, you got up in the morning and you basically left Mauldin to go to work somewhere, where it was downtown Greenville or the surrounding areas. But then after work, you came back to Mauldin. You came home, a good dinner. You enjoyed your home, your yards. We had recreation activities, great parks that we had our kids play in. Our recreation program was and still is one of the greatest for our kids. And then as we matured, if you will, later on, Mauldin, all of our schools were developed within our city limits. So we're very unique as a city of the fact that our schools are inside our city limits. A couple of elementary schools, our middle school, our high school, and even our Golden Street Vocational School, all within the city limits of Mauldin. Now, let me give you some what we call demographic information or factual information about the Mauldin area. Currently, we're on the books for roughly 25,000 citizens. The 2020 census, if they finalize their numbers, could show us closer to 28 to 30,000 people. So long way away from the original 1,200 people that when I first started growing up here that we knew. But in our Greenville metro area, which includes the Mauldin area, our growth is projected to be going to be a roughly 3% through the 2030 timeframe that we have decent numbers for. Our unemployment right now in the local area is 2%. Ours inside our city limits is probably at 1.8%, where the national, as post-COVID is beginning to come down. It's roughly 3%, 3.6 or 4%, the latest numbers I'm hearing type thing. We've got some good press over the last few years. We're in the top 10 most affordable places to live with our city of Mauldin. Our high school, our own Maverick, Mauldin High School Mavericks, rated the top 10 best high school. Top 5 most successful city in South Carolina. The one I am really proud of course, with the family here, our number 2, we are rated the 2nd safest city in South Carolina. Rated the number 2 enterprise friendly city in South Carolina, working with all our business, local business leaders and everything. Number 1 healthiest housing market. That shouldn't be a surprise if you've looked for housing around here. If you sell a home right now, it probably the average is 1 to 3 days you have offers, and it's almost off the market within 30 days. Our previous media average age, I find this surprising. We're average age media for the Citizen City of Mauldin is 40 years of age. The thing I'm extremely proud of also is our educational level within our citizens. 93.5% are high school graduates or higher education levels. So fantastic track record, if you will. Just some quick data for you on coming forward here. Our 2019-2020 statistics, our new business permits is up 36%. Commercial projects that we have going on in our city, out on Monroe Drive, there's an $11 million investment there. The Brookfield Global Lending just announced last year the $4.2 million investment to create 640 new jobs over the next near future. The latest announcement last week was Bridgeway Station. Not only their Bridgeway Village concept is currently under construction, but he had completed a 3-story office complex pre-COVID. That delayed tenants moving in until businesses figured out what they were going to do. So we understand from his Mr. Hughes investment that building is currently active as far as potential tenant there. So glad to hear that type thing. Some of us hear about the new homes being built out right now with the permits that we have issued and everything. Over the next year or so, we'll see close to 1,350 homes built out. Apartments, what we call Class A apartments, which roughly says they're going to be going from $1,200 to $1,600 monthly rental. If you go up North Main Street, Novo, the luxurious apartments there, affordable luxury apartments on North Main, approximately 300 units coming on stream there. We also have some workforce housing on called Miller Place on Miller Road and Old Mill Road intersection. There's 18 units, duplex units in there that are fully occupied now. You've seen down East Butler, you have seen probably just near Mutts, the clearing off for 42 apartments there by Mercy Housing. Those will be affordable housing, if you will, directed toward those occupations we know as medical assistants, teachers, police officers, firemen, more affordable apartments in there, not subsidized, just apartments. And then also going out across 385 behind the Spinks area, there has been an announcement by HBS to build 76 apartments there. So those are the apartments that we have going on, but a lot of town homes are being built, and I'll explain why in a little bit later as we get into this, but they're going down New Neely Ferry Road, also on Baldwin Road and Greenbrier, as well as other areas that we're seeing. Let's get into, if you will, allow me, to the household gross into the future. Now, we've received data from various national marketing publications, as well as our own organizations in the state of South Carolina. One that I've been extremely pleased to attending, actually two, Upstate Alliance, which also sponsors 10 at the Top. And availing myself of educational opportunities there, where they brought in consultants and specialists throughout the United States that talked about small towns and cities and what they were becoming, and basically also how some of them were going to have to change in order to survive. There's as we stated earlier, our growth rates projected, best numbers at 3% annually. So people are coming. So where are we going to put them? The type of homes that are currently being built by developers who also avail themselves of this data and decide what they're going to offer, because that's what's going to sell, is patio homes, cluster homes, and of course townhomes as well as apartments. Residents moving into their area, we're showing residents, the people especially that I talk to in the grocery store or at church or whatever, they're coming up into Mauldin from Florida. They're coming down to Mauldin from Connecticut and Virginia and also the Midwest. Love seeing that, and so we're especially appreciative of them recognizing a great city that we have, and our local customs, the fact we still wave at each other and speak to each other no matter where we meet each other. So I'm proud of that and don't want to lose that. Also, we talked a little bit about, and I've been trying to talk to as many people as I could, even during this COVID area and now into what we hope is called the post-COVID area. Talking to what I'll call the older citizens, the ones that have been here a long time, and also some of the newer ones coming in and the reasons that they're moving here. I talked a little bit about them earlier. Our unemployment area is extremely low here. We're the top 10 most affordable place, the high school, successful city, the friendliest housing market. Also, they say, because the general atmosphere they feel attending some of our cultural events or our recreation programs with their kids is they have a feeling of home. Good, friendly people here in Mauldin. And we never want to lose that. I never want to lose that. I'm proud of that. And we'll do all I can to keep that reputation, if you will. Now that moves us, I guess, what we'll call Mauldin's vision or our approach for the future. I went over the previous data and the growth in the people that are coming and looking for housing needs, job needs, entertainment needs, even transportation needs and wants. That's a key phrase, transportation needs and wants, because you'll see it a little bit later on, that reflects a little bit different approach than what I grew up with and still avail myself of that. But also, if you're walking around and talking and, as I said, our cultural events and recreation things, you'll see our diversity and our generational age differences, which reflects a different style of the wants and needs. You know, you take the over 50-year-olds and what their needs and wants and desires are, then you go to the 40s and the 30s and the 20s, and they're different outlooks. All of them important, and we have to figure out how do we blend that and what do we have to do to change and alter that. The transportation is showing a desire to reduce the number of trips per automobile. You know, I grew up, if I'm going anywhere, whether it's 2 blocks or 2 miles or further, I get in my car. Today, if you walk around some of the newer housing developments and walk their sidewalks or in their small cul-de-sacs and meet the people there, they'll tell you, you know, I really like to walk to a park. I'd like to walk to a restaurant. I'd like to walk to a grocery store, leave my car parked. That's different. So we had to factor that into our current changing in our vision of Mauldin. One of the things, of course, they also talk about is they'd love to have more neighborhood parks, green space with park benches to sit on type thing. If you visit some of the new Whispering Meadows over off Ashmore Bridge Road or Butler Park off of Pinecrest, you'll see they included small green spaces, shelters also. Whispering Meadows, I believe, even has a fire pit with you could sit around and just you know, come out of your house and walk down the back sidewalk or trail a little bit and sit in a passive park. Those are factored into our planning as developers bring those ideas to us. And they want the amenities. I talk to grocery stores and restaurants to be close by. A lot of marketing went on for many years on the Swamp Rabbit Trailway segments. Of course, it got started with out of city of Greenville toward Furman University and then to Travelers Rest. And if you haven't experienced that, go to Travelers Rest and see what that does, especially on weekends, and you'll see that activity. Our younger generations are saying the same thing. They'd like to be able to ride a bicycle to our city center and take some trail segments. So we're active on that. We got multiple trail segments in the works, if you will. It's probably 6 or 8 different routes that we kind of discussed back and forth with our planner, our city administrator, and how to make those possible. We just did a 1/4 mile trail on the Lawrence Electric Co-op's easement that we city council had approved. This up near the high school at the red light there at the high school parking lot. If you look to your right, leaving Mauldin, you'll see there's still a gate and a fence up there. But our trail segment will go from East Butler down to just short of 385 sound barriers. That will connect to the new Bridgeway Bridge. It will span 385 over into the new Bridgeway Station announcement that the Hughes Investment just did. That'll be an iconic bridge. If you haven't seen the drawings, avail yourself of some of the media that has put some drawings out. It's going to be a beautiful bridge. So when you're on 385 driving in, you see that. It's going to be an eye catcher, and to the point you're going to say, what is that about? And you're going to pull off and turn around and go back and figure out what's over there and at trail segment. And so we're really looking forward to getting that bridge connected. So that is our connectivity also for getting to what I'll call the east side of Mauldin, over to Bridgeway, over to Holland Road and beyond. It also allows a connection for Fountain Inn and Simpsonville to develop trail segments that will tie into that Bridgeway Station area and avail themselves of the bridge that gets over 385. That in our planning process, all 3 of our communities knew that to connect to the Greenville Trail system was going to require spanning the major interstate. And we struggled with that for years, how we could do it, and plus it's expensive. And with the Hughes investment and Phil Hughes being very active in that, and we were able to develop a plan forward. Our city administrator was very innovative in approaches there, and so we were able to get that approved by council. And the bridge is currently in the, I'll call it the pre-construction phase. There's still, I think, permitting with South Carolina DOT and working out some minor details. But that's going to allow us to have a trail segment from the east side over 385, tying into various trail segments that lead you here into the downtown Mauldin area, city center area, here on Murray and East Butler and 276. So, and from there, we will have various ways we'll tie it into, I think it's called CUI-CAR or ICAR. That's where Greenville has come into. So we in turn will take, sure our trail segments go in that same direction type thing. Which now gets us to the term city center, which is the topic for today. City center is also being called somewhat of a downtown or a downtown village concept, whatever you want to call it, because Mauldin traditionally hasn't had a downtown. If you go drive through Simpsonville and Fountain Inn, you actually know when you're downtown. Ours has always been, remember that that term I used earlier, a crossroads. If you take 276 and the Butler intersection, that crossroads sees 65,000 cars a day. That's a great marketing tool because retailers look for that kind of traffic type thing. But in November of 2012, a master plan had been developed and signed and documented by the current mayor, Mayor Raines, and the council of that day. And that plan is still in effect and what we're moving forward with. But one of the components of that plan had a vision statement for a downtown defined area. And allow me to give you why are the actual detail of that vision statement, because it's still used by our planning department, our economic development team, as we recruit developers and retail and commercial businesses in that area. So let me take a little swig of coffee here. In the old days, we call that wetting your whistle. But our vision statement is documented in that. It says a mixed-use downtown urban core where office, retail, restaurant, and residential opportunities thrive with authentic public streets, sidewalks, plazas, fountains, and even greens. Okay, in that vision statement, there's been several starts and stops. We've had multiple drawings and renderings, if you will, that reflect that concept and ways to approach it. The vision statement kind of drives those developers who are interested, and then when we sit down and we talk about it type thing, and then put in our vision of what we want it to be, there's always a methodology developers go through and say, you know, in order to develop that, I've got to have this and got to have that. And sometimes it just hasn't worked out. And so we've moved on. Today is currently active, extremely active. We have, as many of you know, well, first, let me define what is our city center area, downtown village, walkability area we're hoping to, not hoping, we are developing right now. It's bounded on the north, if you will, by Jenkins Street, on the south by East Butler. On our west is Highway 276, also known as our North Main Street. And then on the east side is our railroad tracks to Murray Drive. So if you're coming into Mauldin from East Butler Road and you pass our cultural center grounds and cross the railroad track starts the boundary. Then you come up East Butler, you'll see our fire station and our city hall and the old empty Family Dollar on the right. That's the southern boundary. Turn right on North Main Street. That is our western boundary. Go up to the next traffic light right there at distinctive detail. Turn right, that's Jenkins Street, which is defined as our northern boundary. So that contains approximately 24 acres. About approximately 12 acres of that was owned by the city. Their phase one, a phenomenal young man that we met and introduced to his team called the Parker Group. Got to go downtown Greenville on the other side of the academy to the Commons area and saw a concept that he's developing there. We invited him to come to Mauldin, and he took us up on that, and evidently rode around Mauldin over the weekend type thing. And when he came and met with our economic development director, Mr. Van Praud, on Monday, he was blown away and said, I want to be part of that. So we showed him our city center concept. He came back with renderings, currently under contract with him for the approximately 6 acres where our public works maintenance facility was at, holding grounds, if you will, on what we call a little street there called Jenkins Court off Jenkins Street. So he has something planned for there. It's called the, you saw the renderings, the Pickle Yard. He'll repurpose the huge metal building that's out there, if you will. One of the terms they used when they walked inside that is this building has great bones, meaning the structure is sound. It just needed to be revitalized, and he has a plan for that, including various pickleball courts, food vendors, a passive area out front. There'll be a stage there for an acoustic guitar type performance, some areas to sit around and enjoy your meal. Also in such a way that it's covered. And if you saw the Commons, you can see where you can actually open the doors full length, full height to actually enjoy the outdoor type functions if weather permitting on that. So great concept. We were energized by that, so that's proceeding right now. We also have a plan to do the Jenkins Street realignment, so it goes straight across with the Hyde Circle That process is currently underway. The Jenkins Court I talked about, that'll be kind of defined, let's call it a main street. The main tie into the city center, left side, right side. It'll tie back into 276 also, and into Jenkins Street there. Other phases are actually under development now. There's a developer I'm hearing a lot of interest from a developer about developing our corner there on Main Street in East Butler, what many of us know as the old Family Dollar store. And you should hear something exciting about that in the next few days. Also, we're having a lot of interest from developers 5 years ago that we made contact with, and they're like, well, we're not real sure. What is Mauldin and what's Mauldin doing? Well, once the activity started and the news hit with the Parker Group and then the Bridgeway Station, Mr. Van Broad has been answering a lot of phone calls and attending a lot of meetings people are now interested in. So any ideas you have and any property you've got, you might want to be talking to Mr. Van Broad. Even adjacent to our city center, we spawned some interest there. You know, as we just announced, Aldi's will be building right across the street from the northwest boundary of our city center there on the corner of North Main Street. And I think that's White Drive there. So that's coming, and you see that clearing already. Just past that, you saw the new restaurant we announced, Luna Rosa. Fantastic place to enjoy a nice meal, a beverage after hours, if you will. Also, the bands, jazz and blues and different genres of bands he has there on the weekends makes it a very nice place. So we were excited about that, and the family that brought that to Mauldin. And even right behind where the Aldi's is going in, I mentioned earlier on Pinecrest Drive, the Butler Park homes that are fairly new there, but they were excited because of the walkability, because Aldi's will be a grocery store they could walk to, and then across the street to get to the pickle yard. So they were excited from that also. Other noteworthy items you've probably seen is the new opening of Popeyes. Sonic's got reskinned and bought out and called Cookouts, different company now. And then also a new concept with Hip Burgers up on East Butler. So that kind of gives you an idea of where Mauldin came from and where we are going. The people are coming. They're wanting different avenues of housing. Those of us that bought a third acre, half acre, that still spend a day and a half cutting our grass during the spring and the summer and into the fall, working in the flower gardens, all like that. Many of the newer generations don't particularly want that. They like the patio homes, town home concept, apartments. Today, it used to be you found the job and you moved to the city. Today's generational groups find a city they want to move to and find an apartment they can afford, and they move here and then look for a job. So that's a different concept, a different way, but that's the way it's been laid out for us. You also have the generation like myself that says, you know, I need to downsize. And so they like the patio homes, the cluster homes, and the townhome concept. Not have a yard they have to spend a lot of time in. And they also would like to be able to just walk outside and go to a passive park, walk down the street, find good restaurants, things like that. So that's been our challenge, if you will. Made great progress on that. There's a lot of demographic information and technical information beyond me as to how developers look and decide what areas they come to. I didn't give you some numbers that we have as far as the media income level of our community. depending on where you're at, our media income could be anywhere from, in various rankings that we see, from 65,000 heading eastward into the 85,000 annual income and above. So by no means are we a poor income city. And that's the demographic information that developers look at and decide what it will support. And we've got some excitement now, and we see that ongoing. And that's kind of what drives it. And with our plan, with the Parker Group on that 6.5 acres, his concept there is townhomes. Don't know exactly what the price point is, but they will be fairly modern, select. I'll use the term luxury townhomes. That the renders we've seen, we're excited about and how that ties in. One of the things we did years ago when Mr. Van Brood got here, first thing we did was say, Mauldin has to be a destination. People have to want to come to Mauldin. Mr. Broad and his staff has been exceptional in expanding our Mauldin Cultural Center, my old elementary school. It's now our cultural center, and the program offerings in there with the art classes, the woodworking guild, song, voice lessons, the Rotary meeting rooms. Our Chamber of Commerce is located there, is our welcome center. So it gets a lot of activity, but the most exciting thing has been our theatrical performances. If you have not attended our youth and children's theatrical performance, musical performances, and others, go on our website and look. Is drawing a lot of people to Mauldin. You get the kids involved, you get the parents, the grandparents, the uncles and the aunts. They're coming to those performances, and we're still under COVID guidelines for some of the seating, so you'd have to go online to be sure you can get tickets to there. Our outdoor amphitheater area, where we have a new one coming up at the end of May, our what we call the PB&J, idea from our city administrators. It's going to be exciting, different. PB&J, it's not peanut butter, it's pizza, blues, and jazz. So that's going to be interesting. End of May, I'm sorry, I think it's the end of April, 1st of May. It's coming up. So get on the website and look at that. And then, of course, our Beach and Friday series be going all during the summer, as well as our farmer market. So that draws a lot of people to us. We got the destination, they're coming. Developers see that. So they want to offer, whether it's restaurants, eating establishments, a place to sit down and have a nice after work beverage, if you will, type thing. A lot of interest there now. We're seeing that, and Drew Parker and his group instrumental in getting those offerings to those that are coming to the city of Mauldin. So that's a long-winded explanation of where we're at and why we're looking at doing that. As we draw people there, we've got to have an area for them. Our cultural center is the first area that drew them there. Now our city center concept we've been talking about, our city center downtown village, walkable village concept is what we're offering there, and that's what's coming on board and getting established. Should see some activity this year. So shovels in the ground. We're hoping this year, and not hoping, it's firm in this happening. So we're excited about that. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what we've got going on. I'll pause now. If you got any questions, just let me know, and I'll try to answer them and tell you what I can.
Mayor, this is RB. The only question I have is, do we have any plan to provide an access from the Main Street 276 to the back of its development?
Yes, there are a couple of, in that plan I talked about earlier, there were a couple of connections showing there. Actually, Jenkins Street, of course, the main one, we'd like to see that Jenkins Court tie into, I think that's called Sunrise Drive. There's Sunrise White Drive. I think it's Sunrise. I can't remember for sure, but yeah, there will be a connection that I see on that developmental plan that goes into there. And even later on, some on down on the other side of, I guess I'd call it the other side of Advance Auto that would tie in on further down there. So there's some in that developmental plan. Those are concepts, but they still seem to make sense. So the first one I would probably see would be a tie-in from that Jenkins Court out to 276, somewhere near, I think it's White Drive, but don't hold me to that. I'd have to look at the map.
Is that go ahead. Is that plan available for the public yet, or is still under contract and not disclosed to the public yet?
I think it is being vetted through, trying to think, our planning department, DOT. I don't know that it's actually a firm plan. It hasn't come before council yet. The only one I'm pretty sure is before council or has been approved by council is the tie-in from Jenkins Street to Hyde Circle across on the railroad tracks there. I think that's the active one. And then the development of that Jenkins Court straight through. But I don't think council has seen any public plans as far as how to tie that into 276. Nothing firm that I'm aware of. I can check on that and try to have an answer for you when we do this again on Friday.
Okay. Is there any plan for the development on the front side of the properties, or we just doing on the back only for now?
Nothing, as you're well aware of, part of our challenge of that 24-acre site, off just for round numbers, approximately 12 acres is owned by private businesses such as yourself. So that is, that'll be a discussion between each property owner and a potential developer as far as interest there and how they would negotiate that and work that out. It is defined, that entire area, 24 acres is defined as a planned development. So any developer that would be interested in purchasing property in there would actually have to comply with our vision statement as well as our plan development is what could be built on there and the facades to be built and things like that. So, but that would be up to private businesses.
Yeah, I tried to reach the Parker Group official one time, and I asked for like a meeting and see if we can come out with the plan, because the property that I have is right next to your city property and one of the consignment shop, and there's another property that city owns. I was thinking to talk to them and see if we can add all those 4 properties into this development together, but nobody has responded back to me. Is there a way you can communicate to them and see if they can have some plan or some renderings that we can see and we can work out with them?
Yeah, I can pass that along to Mr. Broad and our city administrator that you're interested in continuing discussions, and then Van would pass that along to any potential developers that might be interested in that property. But again, it would be individual between, you and your property and then the other property, the owners there. How that would be done, be up to a developer. That's way beyond my technical expertise.
No problem. Yeah, thank you for answering all the questions that I have.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate you being here this morning.
Yeah.
Celeste, so you're ready to start building a new retail center for Footloose in our city center? If you're still there, you would have to unmute yourself.
Sorry, sir.
That's
Sorry
okay.
about that, sir. I am trying to multitask. I'm listening, but I just couldn't beyond video. I was really interested in what you were talking about. And the franchise is Foot Solutions. So it's a nationwide franchise of custom orthotic shoes and diabetic shoe wear and athletic shoe wear. So a lot of pickleball players come into us for custom orthotics.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we'd love to have you in our city, especially in this area, anywhere that would make sense. And Mr. Van Bra will be very interested in chatting with you and showing you the various areas if you have interest there. I'm very familiar with orthotics, so I have foot problems. I have to wear orthotics. Thank the good Lord, I'm blessed. I have the VA takes care of most of my needs, but I have visited some of the local foot doctors in the city of Mauldin over the various past few years.
Well, thank you for your service. My husband and I are veterans as well.
Fantastic. Appreciate your service and your husband's service also.
Thank you.
Mayor, can I ask you one more question?
Absolutely.
Hey, I had a request put in for contract copy in the, with the developers, and it's been like a long time. I haven't received anything from the city official. Is there any contract signed yet, or is it still under not signed or anything?
Let's see. The Parker Group has, I know we signed an agreement and it's been approved to sell the property. It's still heading toward closure, I believe. Let me turn away for just a second, pull my notebook for tonight. Council meeting is tonight. I know there's some second readings. Okay, nothing on there tonight as far as the Jenkins Street property. As far as the sale, I think that's already done. So as soon as we're working toward closing, I believe. So, you know, that developmental agreement, last I heard, was in legal hands now, but I think it's pretty close to being acceptable by both parties. So I don't know there's anything been released since the original agreement vetted by council to sell the property to the Parker Group. So that was already public, so it should be on our website.
Yeah, because I'm trying to look up and see.
Okay, I'll check on that also and have an update on Friday.
Okay.
Okay, what I'm doing on these coffee talks, and Mr. Madden is doing it for me, is recording them. So we'll post on these on our various YouTube channels and our media channels, so we can go back and watch them. Be sure I didn't make any promises or any statements that wasn't valid. I tried to go through everything that I knew and was up to date right now, but I'll find out about that. I got 3 questions for you, sir. I'll try to have answers for that.
Okay. No problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. That appears to be the end of today's coffee talk session. We appreciate those who did sign in and view that. We will repeat this topic again on Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock for the people that couldn't make it this morning. I'm open to suggestions as far as hopefully soon we'll get to me able to meet and do these in person, and what any additional topics you'd like to hear us discuss. Like to do that. I'd like to focus these on a topic at a time, and that way we won't have to jump around and all of those type things. So we'll post it ahead of time. Today was on the city center, so we had some interest there, and so appreciate those who signed in there. Friday, we'll still talk about city center again at 4 p.m. for those that might be available at that time frame, and go over this same kind of information as well as try to have these particular questions answered. So Again, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you around the city, as well as on these coffee talk sessions. My office number, my cell number, my email are all listed on the website. So please get in touch with me and I will respond to you as soon as possible and share what information I have. So again, thank you for attending. We will see you again soon.